welcome from my little space here in Vienna. My name is Luise. I am a literature student and writer, and this is my Booktube Newbie Tag, even though I was overthinking whether I should do this or not, because my channel is not primarily about books, also a lot about writing, but then I thought, why not? Let's just answer the Booktube Newbie Tag questions while I clean my chandelier that I got secondhand, and it is very dusty, but I want to hang it up on the wall in a while. So I thought, let's do this while we talk about books and this channel. The first question is, why did I start this channel? And I think it started, the idea has been there for a while, and then I had a lot of time at home out of health reasons, and I just felt the need of some creative outlets. And also I realized while I was doing National Novel Writing Month in November that documenting the process helps a lot to stay motivated. So I thought, let's give this a try and, well, see if it helps motivating me to stay creative and work on my little projects. What are some fun and unique things that I can bring to Booktube? That is a good question. I'm not entirely sure if this is fun and unique. I do have a young student perspective. Maybe that's interesting. I'm studying comparative literature, Scandinavian studies and Austrian studies here in Vienna. So that might be interesting. And I think I also bring in like a little mixture of love for vintage and antique, and that is definitely something that always comes up in my writing because I love historical writing, and it's just an aesthetic that some of you might like, maybe. Third question, what are you most excited for about this channel? To be honest, I think the community, because this is just amazing to see people connect over such channels, and to just realize that there are a lot of people out there having the same interest. So yeah, definitely the community, and also the creative outlets, and hoping to find my motivation to get projects done. So I think that is definitely something I'm looking forward to. The fourth question is, why do I love reading? And I don't know if there is a unique answer to this, or if all the Booktube people answer the same thing, but it's definitely the fact that you just create whole worlds in your mind, and it's just so beautiful to escape from reality, and you just open up a book and you just stare at the page, and all of a sudden there is a whole world opening up, and that is just amazing. I don't know if I can add anything else to that. I think it's as simple as that. It's fantasy in your head, little movies going on there, and that's just brilliant. I think it doesn't need anything else to disconnect from the real world for a while, and also get into, learn perspectives that aren't necessarily your own, but still get intrigued by it, by reading other people's perspectives. I think that's pretty cool too. What book or series got me into reading? And I remember that reading has always been a very big part of my childhood, and my parents would read a lot of books for me, and it just started off with some German authors where my dad would read the books for me, children books. That's by Michael Ende and Ottfried Preußler. Those are two very important names when it comes to German-speaking children's books. And he just read hundreds of pages for me, my dad, and my mom as well. So that was our little ritual. When my dad got home from work and I went to bed, he would read for me. That was absolutely amazing. And that was, I was already totally into reading and books. I loved that, and it never stopped. I would pick up books where I wasn't in the age where I could read already, but I would just tell little stories based on the pictures in the books. I really loved that. And when I grew older, there are so many books that were influential, but I mean, Harry Potter, obviously. I remember my sister reading the whole series, even though she wasn't a bookworm at all, and she wasn't like really into reading, but with Harry Potter, she just sat down and read all the books in such a short amount of time. And I think I saw the movies. Yeah, I saw the movies first, not all of them, but a few, because I was still quite young and I wasn't into reading such large books at the time. So I started watching the first few films and then I got into reading them, and obviously it was brilliant. I still love Harry Potter, and I think you can see my little Harry Potter corner over here. There is a golden snitch, Bertie Bott's beans. I mean, they're empty, but the package is still there. Then I also have a package from a chocolate frog, and I've got two wands, one that a friend made herself and one that is from the store bought, and you know, all the books and such. So Harry Potter is a big part of my life and definitely motivated me to read, especially when it comes to fantasy. The next question is, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? And I think that's a cool question. I thought maybe if they had an afternoon tea and they could invite, let's say, 5 people, who would they invite? Either authors, dead or alive, or fictional characters, to have an interesting afternoon. I wouldn't know what, like, I don't know what I would answer to this question, because obviously there are a lot of possibilities, but I guess that would be an interesting question for all the booktubers out there. And there are a lot of great booktubers. Actually, someone who really got me motivated to do this and to sit down in front of the camera and be bold enough to film myself was Nikel's Nook. I think her channel is so great. I really love to listen to her book talks. And another channel that is also very influential, and I'm always excited when there is a new video online, is Christy Ann Jones. She's also mixing book talk with writing, vlogs. She's doing such a great work, so definitely check those out. Okay, question 7. I've got all the questions here in front of me on my computer, so that's a bit weird that I'm looking down there all the time. So question 7, what challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? I think perfectionism, definitely. Sometimes realizing that there is not enough time to film and edit, and that I might have to skip a week. So that's a big thing for me, and also knowing that I might not have the perfect equipment and lighting isn't perfect and all of those things. But yeah. And another thing is probably overcoming the guilt that I'm not doing anything for university, because whenever I focus on some creative project, I always have this little voice in the back of my head telling me, but you actually have a lot of work for university, you should sit down and do that instead. And there is always a lot of work for university. It's a never-ending story. Even when we're on a break and when there are no classes, there is still a lot of stuff to do, and you just have to take the time and do something else sometimes. You can't always do university stuff, or you won't have any free time anymore. So you just have to do it. But there is this little voice in my head, and that's sometimes a little hard to turn it off. So yeah, that's a bit difficult. Okay, when did I start reading? Like I said, started in the early days. It has always been important. As soon as I was able to read myself, I would read. And before that, my parents read books for me, and I made up my own little stories, and it has always been important. Where do I read? Preferably in my room, on the sofa, or in my bed. Just very simple, nothing fancy. I think I need a very calm environment to read. My flat is very, very silent. There is not a lot of noise coming from the outside, which is great. And whenever I read outside, there are so many factors that can distract me. Sometimes it's just it's windy, or the sun is too bright, or I don't know, there are some flies around my head and I can't focus. Just, small things that distract me quite easily. So the best place is cozy with a warm blanket, some tea in my bed, or on the sofa at home. The next question is, what kind of books do I like to read? I read a lot of Austrian and Scandinavian literature, obviously German-speaking literature due to my university studies. So that is a big part. I love prose fiction, also short stories. I think that's really, really great. And I would say that fantasy is definitely my comfort genre. It's just, I love fantasy so much. It's always, when I go into a bookstore, it's always the section where I gravitate towards, fantasy. I do like science fiction, and I recently have opened my eyes a little bit for that genre and tried to get my hands on some science fiction books. I also just saw Dune, the second film in the cinema. It was great. It's not a genre that I would say I love science fiction. I'm definitely more of a fantasy girl, but science fiction is pretty cool too, and has a lot of layers that I haven't discovered yet. And yeah, I also like things like gothic novels, not like super scary and horror, that's not my thing, but a little bit abstract, and also going more into the fantastical genre, so that's pretty cool. And I mean, the classics are nice too, there are some really great classics. It's probably not something that I read all the time, but I'm definitely planning on reading some Jane Austen, because I have given her a chance before and I didn't really get into it, but that's years ago, and I want to try it again. But I'm very open when it comes to literature. I think there is no, probably, yeah, there are genres that I don't gravitate towards. It's definitely horror and anything like thriller and stuff like that. That's not really my thing. But other than that, I'm very open, and I'm studying literature, and I think this is just the great thing that I just want to absorb everything, and then get all the literature that I can. The last question is, what does my book collection look like? And it's very much what I already said about the genres that I like to read. You can already see a little bit about my bookshelf here in the back. But I might do a separate video about that to get more into detail. Okay, thank you so much for being here and for listening to this little Booktube Newbie Tag. I really hope to see you again when it's time to speak more about books and writing. And it is time now to finish my tea and enjoy this beautiful day. Spring has come around quite early this year, but it is a sunny day and I'm gonna make the most of it. And I hope you have a lovely March and keep reading.